Hey guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel. Quick video for you. It's not going to be a very quick one, I don't think, but video for you today that's been sort of requested really. A lot of people have asked what I think of the Trumpeter Glow2b monochrome or gallery models, 1/200th Yamato compared to the Tamiya 1/350th premium edition Yamato. And I am talking the premium, not the sort of £100 one, the £200 odd one. I've never seen the cheaper one, so I don't know what it's like. I know it's got a one-piece hull, and I know the detail won't be anything like as refined as it is on the more expensive kit. So yeah, now some of you know I've got that kit. I've got it down here. I've done a full review of it. If you go back and have a look on my channel, you'll see it there. If you put Yamato in the search on my own, on your channel page or my channel page, you'll find it there. It's had many views and lots of positive comments, so thanks for that, guys. So basically in this video I'm going to sort of break the kits down into categories. I've made a quick list. I'm doing this before the video, so it's going to be sort of off the cuff, so I don't really know what categories we're going to look at yet, but I have written down packaging, instructions, hull, parts, decals and PE. And I intend to sort of go by a points out of 10 thing and see what we end up with. This video is based entirely on my opinion and nothing else, other than obviously dimensions. If I measure something and tell you it's 10 inches long, then it's 10 inches long. I'm not lying. But my opinion is, like, you know, if I prefer this over that, or if I prefer the Tamiya plastic over the Trumpeter plastic, some of you may say, oh, you're bloody crazy, Trumpeter plastic's lovely. Well, yeah, that's fine. Please just go easy on me in the comments. All I'm trying to do is, as I've been asked, is give you an overall view of what I think of the two kits in comparison. So I think the first thing to talk about is the size and the size of the packaging. I think this should be your first consideration before anything else. If you simply don't have the room for a 1/200th Yamato, that's it, it's decided, you get a smaller one. Okay, you may not have the room for a 350th, so you go for the, I think, the old Hasegawa 450th or 400th scale, and then you've got your 700th scale. You know, you can get smaller, you can get down this big if you want to. Yeah, it's the big consideration, I think, is room. The other consideration is, if you have the room and you don't know which way to go, I think is scale. Obviously, injection molded plastic can only go so far, so when it comes to things like armour plating, window frames, you know, ladders, stuff like that, stuff that's moulded out of plastic, it's always going to look more chunky in 350th than it will in 200th if the manufacturer has made a good effort. So for instance, you know, if the scale thickness of the armour shielding around the guns should be 10 thou thick in plastic, then basically they should try and make it 10 thou thick in plastic. They won't, because it will keep breaking out of the mold tool. But you can see what I mean. If it's the thinnest they can get in the 200 scale is, say, 0.5, which is 20 thou, okay, then it doesn't matter what the scale is, it's the restrictions within the moulding that's going to cause it. So the 350th scale will also be 0.5, which means the 350th scale will be even more out of scale than the 200th. Yeah, so this is one of the issues we have with plastic modelling, is the actual ability to mould extremely thin panels. If you remember the Tamiya Spitfire, the 1/32nd scale, they made a big fuss about that, about having the engine cowlings to an almost scale thickness, which was 0.4. And if you look at 0.4 of 32, it's probably about 12. Okay, so 12mm thick aluminium on the engine casings. I don't think so. So restrictions of moulding is always going to be up against the skies when it comes to injection moulded plastic. So in my opinion, the bigger the scale, the more accurate the panel thickness and everything will be. Again, like I say, it's just my opinion. So we also need to look at the size of the packaging. So if you are in a far distant land where you don't have local bottle shops and stuff, the cost of postage is going to be incredible, because the 200 scale, which is here, okay, it is absolutely massive and it weighs a ton. Alright, you can see it's, I mean, I can't even get the box, I can't even get the other end of the box here, it's huge, it's absolutely huge. The box actually measures 1420 millimeters long by 440mm wide and 155mm deep. That is 56 inches approximately by 17¼ inches by 6¼ inches, and the weight is around 9.5–10 kilos. Mine didn't come with the external cardboard sleeve, which I believe it should, so figure on 11–12 kilos I would for the kit. So if you look at it, I mean, it's under the 1500, which makes a big difference with parcels. But if you live in a distant, remote place and you've got to get it posted to you, it could end up costing you nearly as much as the kit to get it posted, because it's so big and it's quite heavy. Whereas the Tamiya, which is a lot more manageable, which is here, you can see I can hold this up and get both ends in on the camera, lovely. The model is actually longer than this. The box, they've made the hull in 2 pieces. Well, it's more than 2 pieces, it's about 10 pieces, but if they've made the front, you'll see in a minute, the bow comes off of the stern. It's a bit weird, and there's a horrible join in it. I don't know why they did it, but anyway, probably to get the scale, the moulding on the bow good. But that one is 765mm by 270 and 150mm deep. So it's the same depth as the other one, but it's basically half the length, half the width, and the same depth. So that's 30 inches by 10¾ inches by 6 inches. So it's a lot smaller. I haven't weighed it, but I'm guessing it's probably about 5 or 6 kilos. So you know, that's going to be a lot cheaper to post if you are in a distant, remote area. Also, the other thing, of course, is getting it in the house past she that must be obeyed. If you've got to get it past the other half without them noticing, it's going to be a lot easier to slip that in at night than it is that other thing. So there we go. So I'll show you some pictures now. These are the boxes next to each other. I've done some photographs, so you can see these are the boxes next to each other and on top of each other and everything. And you can see there the absolutely massive difference in size. Obviously you can't see a difference in weight, but I would say the 200 scale is around about double the Tamiya one. In fact, I'll go and weigh it for you now. So that was a surprise. The Tamiya kit comes out on my bathroom scales about 3 kilos. So that's a lot lighter than I thought it would be. So there you go, you've got 3 kilos versus sort of 10 or 11 kilos. And half the size packaging. It's going to be a lot cheaper for postage, if indeed you have to pay the postage. So that's one consideration there with the packaging. The other thing I want to talk about with packaging before we go to the bench is the actual quality of the packaging. Now, we all know we've got Revell kits in our stash, the horrible end opening boxes, and if you put an ant on top of the box, it collapses. There we go, school holidays start today, so we're going to get that every day now for 6 weeks. Bloody ice cream van comes. He comes down here and he stops and he just lets the bell go about 4 or 5 times. Shut up. You know, if I work nights, I'd be going crazy. Anyway, so where were we? Yeah, the actual packaging itself. And as I was saying, we know that if you get Revell boxes, they just crush really easy and the kits can easily get damaged. We all know that Trumpeter have amazing packaging. And I'm going to do a little demonstration for you now to show you just how good their packaging is. Now, you know, if you saw the review, that my box is damaged. You can see on the end here. I can show you there. You can see, like, that's all crushed. The other end is crushed in as well. The kit is absolutely fine. And I will show you something. This is a £400 or £300 kit. Listen, would you do that with a kit? Because if you get the Tamiya, I wouldn't bang this up and down on the ground, because listen, it is not packed well at all. I'll put some photographs now so you can see what I mean. So you can see that the actual Tamiya kit is all just floating around in there. There's a partition halfway down the box with all the fine detail parts underneath, but all the whole parts are just sitting on the top. The photo etch is all taped to that, or glued to that bit of cardboard. So yeah, it's not the best, and could easily suffer some damage if it was dropped out of the back of a lorry or something. Whereas that Trumpeter kit, I swear I could throw that out of the upstairs window and I don't think it would get any damage. The actual hull is packaged in the moulded foam that fits really firmly around the hull on both ends, and then you've got the sort of 1 inch thick black foam. Then that's all in a rigid cardboard box within a rigid cardboard box within a rigid cardboard lid. So, and then that all comes in a rigid cardboard case. So it's awesome. And all the parts, as you've seen, are individually boxed, and they're all quite snug in there. The fragile parts are wrapped in bubble wrap, or wrapped in foam, or both. You know, Trumpeter's packaging is absolutely awesome, and I'm saying Trumpeter because it's a Trumpeter kit at the end of the day. So I've given a score of that, and I'm giving the Glow2b monochrome Trumpeter, whatever it is, I'm giving them 10 out of 10 for their packaging, because you couldn't get any better than that unless it was in an iron box, and then it would cost even more to post. And the Tamiya, I'll give them 8, because they have actually divided up the box and put all these separate sprues underneath, but nothing's really bubble wrapped. The stuff on the top can all float about, and the box is not actually that strong. It could be quite easily crushed, I think. So yeah, I'll give them 8 out of 10. So without further ado, let's get to the bench and have a look at the instructions and where we're going from. Here we are at the bench, right. So this is obviously the Glow2b. I'm going to probably keep calling it Trumpeter, but never mind. So basically this is the Glow2b instructions. It comes in an envelope. If it's on my review, you'd have seen that. And on the back you've got your colour call-outs there. No colour call-outs, but you've got a coloured image of the model, and then you've got the same on the back of your instructions there. This is just a nice paper envelope. For some reason they leave the strip on there and don't seal it. Don't know why, a bit weird, but never mind. Now the actual design of this instruction manual is awesome, because never mind the gloss that we got in a minute, it's actually ring bound. So when it comes to building your model, you get to this stage and you can, you know, have it on your bench like that. Whereas, you know, you've got your normal sort of book, which every other model comes with. You know, you start folding it back and stuff, you're going to break the spine and it's going to fall apart on you. This is just wonderful. I think it's such a fantastic idea. Look at that. It's great that you can do that. And then, you know, when you finish at the end of the day, you can just, you know, find the front, which is a bit easier said than done. Find the front, put it back over. There we go. You could always put a little tag on the front so you can find the front. But really, really good, especially for this model, because one of the things I did notice when I did the review, there's your colour call out here with all your paint call outs and everything. So with the colour call outs, you can have a look at them, but there are some better colours available now these days than the colours they're calling up here. So for example, if you're looking at your the actual colour, the grey, okay, if you want to go for the Tamiya lacquer paints, LP12 is the one you want. That's the Cure Arsenal. You can see that one there, so that's LP12. Or if you don't want to use lacquers, you want to use your good old acrylics, XF75 Cure Arsenal, that's your colour there. For the actual bottom of the hull, we've got LP18, which is dull red, which is a lovely colour. Or if you want to stay with your normal acrylics, hull red. Now, I'm not sure which is actually strictly correct for Japanese, but this is a paint, and you can see that it follows 16, 17 and 18 are the LP range of colours. They all follow a Japanese ship, so I'm assuming that this is the more accurate colour than this one, but then who knows. But again, if you want to go for the lacquers, acrylics, go XF9. For your actual deck, you've got wooden deck tan, which is XF78 in your acrylics, or you've got LP16 in your lacquer paints. Okay, so difference of these two is lacquer paints can be put straight on plastic. You don't need to prime. They bond a lot better to the plastic than these ever will, and they're also going to be a lot tougher. So remember, if you're painting your decks and you're going to be building this kit for like a year and putting things on it and dropping things and all that, this is going to be a lot better than this, okay, as far as resilience goes. So there's your LP there, there's your XF78, and then you've got LP17 for linoleum deck brown, or you've got XF79 for linoleum deck brown, and you can see there is a slight difference in the shade of those, but basically they're both going to be right. So LP17 or XF79 for your acrylics, and as I say, we've got the LP18 there for the hull. So there's your four main colours, so you can pretty much ignore all that. Your reds, greens, whites and everything, obviously you can use whatever you want to use. The dark green for Mitsubishi for your aircraft, and then you've got your dark green Nakajima. The only colour they're calling up there is 129 and 124 in the actual Mr. Hobby lacquer range. So do a bit of research, find the right colour, mix the right colour, whatever. You're not going to be wanting to buy Mr. Colour lacquer paints. They're quite hard to find, certainly in the UK, just for 4 small aircraft. And then going over the page here, we've got this one here. I don't know why they have got 2 versions of the ship. I cannot see. Okay, this one's not got flags on, this one has. They've both got their masts out, they've both got, yeah, don't understand that one, but never mind. But then basically this is what we're talking about with the instructions. So as you can see, typical like trumpeter style instructions with all your sprue callouts and everything. And you've got your PE and everything. This is all nice to see all this in colour. You've got your decals there. And then going through, we've got the build sequence starting with the boats, as you can see, and then the hull, it's a 2-piece hull, and screw it together and fit your PE to the decks and everything. Now, there have been people who have complained that the hangar is too deep. It comes all the way along underneath the turret and everything. There should be a wall across there. If you're really that fussed, you could easily fit a wall across there. But you're not going to be able to see in there anyway unless you have those doors open and you can get right down behind it and look up in. I don't think you're going to see up in there, but as I say, if it does bother you, you could always just put a wall in there. I personally think they've done this for rigidity to support that central deck area. I personally think that's what it's for. So I don't think it was an error. I think they realised that it doesn't go all the way through, but I think they've done it for rigidity. So to keep the deck, because it's so wide, it would be very floppy in the middle. They could have put braces across, I know, but it's also giving it longitudinal stability as well. So I think that's why they've done it. But it'd take you 10 minutes to put a bulkhead across there. So basically, yeah, going through the instructions, it's all typical trumpeter, very, very clearly laid out, very, very well printed, beautifully done. Haven't noticed any errors, but then I wouldn't if I haven't built the thing. But the one thing that does stick out straight away, there are no colour callouts. There is no description of what anything is. There are no colour callouts, nothing. It's just do-do-do-do-do. The other thing I noticed when I did the review, I mean, here we're staying with the stern, but then you're sort of, here you're at the bow, then we're back up the other side, and then we're back at the stern, and then we're back on the bow, and we're back on the other side of the bow, and then we're back at the stern, and now we're back on the bow, then we're back on the stern, and then we're back in the midships, and then we're back on the stern, and then we're back on the bow, you know, and it seems very, very darting around. So I would basically, if you're going to build this kit, I would probably sit down and write yourself a new plan and work, you know, say step 14, 15, 16, and then 17, 18, and then go straight to step 24, and then to step 26 and probably 27, and then 29, leave out 30, and then 32. So you're staying with the stern and you're building up the stern, and then you're going to, because otherwise you're going to, you know, it's so big you're going to be having real trouble going around it. So yeah, I take away points. I mean, I give them massive points for having this ring binder and the clarity and how clear everything is. But I'm taking away points once again. Trumpeter, no colour callouts, but also in here a bit of a darting around build sequence, which is a bit, you know. So that's the trumpeter one, the Glow2b. The decals should be in here somewhere. There's the decals, so I'm going to get them out for a have a look. We'll have a look at those in a minute. Let's get them off screen. So the Tamiya, as I say, this is what you get. That's all you get, and it comes in that lovely envelope. With Tamiya, you get all of this here in the box, but it's not in a nice envelope or anything. It's just loosely in there, which is absolutely fine. Doesn't matter. We do have the non-ring binder type instructions, but in typical Tamiya style, we have all the beautiful colour, you know, the options here. We've got descriptions of what pieces are, you know, main rudder, auxiliary rudder. That there's called the deadwood. Got the stand, and then here we've got the shafts going in, attaching a propeller. We've got this piece of plate going in the bottom here. We've got all the photo etched grills for the pumps and everything, for the cooling pumps, and then, as you can see, we've got descriptions going through. It's telling us what size to drill the holes rather than just drill a hole here. We've also got the option in this kit to have it as a waterline display, which you don't get in the other one. And here you've got the options, waterline, full hole display, all the decks and everything are all screwed together. It's going to be extremely strong. You've got all these ladders going around the bases of all the turrets and everything, or ladders and brackets in that case. We've got doors here that can be opened or closed, rather than that one, the other one that's just saying closed. You know, and it goes through, and it's really, really nice. And then when we get into the detail, the nitty gritty, you know, it's telling us what things are. You've got a reel here. We've got some boats being built up here. It's telling us where to remove ejector pin tabs or whatever. It's telling us where to add PE, how to fold up our ladders, what size screws to use. That's actual size screws, as you know, with Tamiya. And it's just, you know, it's a pleasure to build. Now, I haven't seen any colour callouts yet, but there will be colour callouts in here. It'll basically say that if, unless it's otherwise called out, it will tell you to paint it the same colour as the hull. And here you can see TS66, there's colour callouts there, XF75. Remember, if you're buying this kit, it's fairly oldish now. Is there a date on here? I think it's about 2012, is it? So lacquer paints didn't exist then, so if it was made today, that would say LP12. Okay, but it's just saying XF75, so be a little bit careful of that. Here we've got the boarding ladders and everything. They're showing you how to make them up and everything, which is a real nice touch, rather than just a picture of a folded up piece of photo etch, whereas here it's telling you exactly how to fold it all up. And as you can see, it's just very, very beautifully laid out. And there's one thing I want to get to, because it's really, really nice. You can see we've got all the ladders and that on the tower and everything. We've got the beautiful construction of the mast. I can't see it here. Where is it? But it's really nice. Tamiya are so thoughtful. You know, there's photo etch, and they give you jigs to fold the photo etch around. It's like here they're telling you exactly where to remove parts from, which parts of sprue to remove. Here you're going to build up the actual turrets themselves, and you've got the underplate there, which is made of photo etch, which is absolutely wonderful. And in there's a polycap going in. I'm guessing, what's that going to be for? Ah, okay, it's for the rangefinders to go in. So just like the 70-second scale kit, you get that actually moves in there. We've got our davits here. I'm assuming we've got the option of having the davits out or in. We'll have a look at that. And then we're going to build up the breeches of our guns. You can see we've actually got some detail on those breeches. It's telling us some drill some holes. So we've got main gun turret number 2, main gun turret number 1, which was one of the things that confused me in here. They just tell you to make up 3 turrets. The turrets are different, so be very, very careful with the 200 scale. You've got your photo etch bits going under the blast bags there, adding up the ladders and the steps and everything, rear door going in and all that. I'm making this sound like a full review of this kit, but what I'm looking at is with these turrets, you can see you get all the base and everything, all the detail. If you're doing waterline, obviously you can't have all that because it'll stick out the bottom, but you're basically getting a complete turret with simplified interior to build up, which is a really nice touch. I just wish they'd given you a spare one, an additional one, for your, sort of an external display to stand next to it, like Trumpeter did with the 200th Bismarck. I wish they'd have given us another one of these to stand next to the model. But as you can see, they're 15cm guns. You've got colour callouts for all of this stuff going on, and then we've got our anchor chains going in. Everything is just so beautifully described, explained, and thought of. And here you go. You can see we've got our this is the crane mast. So we've got the crane mast going in there. We're going to fold that, we're going to squeeze that into that jig, and then we're going to fold the sides round, and then we're going to fold the front round, and we're going to glue it together. We're going to pull that part out, and then we're going to lift the top part off the jig. How thoughtful is that? They're giving us a jig to fold it around. The catapult, we've got plastic sides and a photo etch top, which is a nice touch. So, you know, the actual instructions themselves are beautiful, beautifully laid out. You can see all the painting guide here. So as I said in my review, if you get the other kit, if you get the Glow2b one, I would download these instructions from ScaleMates, and then you can use them as your colour callouts. Now it'd be interesting here to see what colour they tell you to paint the aircraft. They're not saying anything there, so they will probably say on the colour callouts. You can see here you've got all the additional detail parts you can get. So here we go, detail parts, DP. Okay, so this is your handrail set and it's showing you where everyone goes. You've got your barrels, aluminium turned barrels with armour. Okay, you've got all your railings, it's showing you where every single little bit and piece goes. It's absolutely wonderful. Look at it, every little piece and the number of each stanchion that you're going to use. Every single little bit is shown you in here. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look at it. So yeah, the instructions, 10 out of 10. You know, colour call outs, as you can see here, we've got this beautiful, great big poster for the wall, if you like. So there's your Yamato. You see it's quite large, it's probably actual size actually. And for the aircraft, they are telling us to paint them XF11, which is, just so we know for future reference, XF11 is Japanese navy green. So there you go. So there's your colour for your aircraft. So you don't need to worry about the other special colours and everything. Although there's probably people out there that say, no, it's not that. It needs to be more accurate, whatever. That could be the case, but I shall have to look into that. But I mean, I would really suggest that it would probably be worth building this one. If you're going to do both, build this one before the 200th, because if you build this one, you're going to learn a lot about the ship just as going through it, because you've got all the descriptions of all the parts here, you've got all the descriptions through the instructions, you've got all the colours you're going to pick up on, all the options for different positions and placements, all the different railing positions and everything. You're going to get it all in the instructions in the Tamiya kit that you're not going to get in the trumpeter, so worth remembering. And then there's an aerial view, and you can see here in 1945. I'm guessing this is as sunk configuration here, so you can see all the guns laying around. So there we go. So that's our colour call-outs. Then we've got our decals, which we'll have a look at in a minute. We've got a correction sheet here, which is nice. Oh, and they're telling us now to paint it XF70. So XF70 is here, and that is dark green 2. Imperial Japanese Navy. So there we are. So that's the difference in those two. So straight away the instructions were wrong in that area. So XF70 is the correct colour for them. So as you can see, it's sort of, you can see LP12, 16, 17, 18, and then we've got XF75, we've got 70, 78, 79. You know, they all sort of group them together. There's obviously an error in the instructions with the photo etch parts here. So that's all fine. We've got the, what's this? This is all about. Yeah, that's all in different languages. There's your health and safety stuff there, and then we have this beautiful little book that comes with the kit, all about Yamato, specifications, and it starts off, it's all got Japanese there and then English below, you can see. We've got some lovely images of the ship there. There are very, very few images of the actual ship Yamato. Yamato, sorry, I keep calling it Yamato and I get told off. Yamato. 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 Is it Yamato or Yamato? I think it's Yamato. Anyway, and there's a model there of the wreck as she lays now. Nice picture there. So there we go. So that's what you're getting with the Tamiya kit. So as I say, you've got all sorts of pictures here about the guns, telling you all about the guns and the different types of guns and everything, which is a real nice touch. There's the shells there you can see next to a young gentleman. So really, really nice. They're giving you some indication here as to the rigging, the masts. It's talking about the bow, the actual torpedo belt, searchlights, gun directors, anti-aircraft gun directors, 10-meter rangefinder, catapult, and then we've got all the boats, we've got the aircraft. That's Pete and that's Jake, I believe. Yeah, Pete and Jake. Got the crane, we've got the aircraft hangar, and then we've got these, are these radar? I thought they were sirens. They're actually radar? I can't believe that. They must be sirens. I'll have to read all this, but you can see rangefinders there, and then we've got the ship's boats here, and there you go. So yeah, the only downside is it's not sort of all packaged up and it's all just rattling around in the box, but you certainly do get a lot of information with the kit rather than just the instructions that you're getting in here. So, you know, as I say, I think you could learn a lot from building the Tamiya kit before you build the trumpeter kit, and then when you build the trumpeter kit, you're going to be suitably armed with all your reference that you've already picked up from the Tamiya kit, if you've got both. So there we go. So let's have a quick look at the decals. Typical trumpeter, a typical Tamiya decals here. I've obviously opened this a couple of years ago for my review and resealed it so it didn't get damaged. So we can have a look again at these now. So we've got here, these look like they're just paper, so you could just cut them out. They're not, I thought they were maybe letraset or something. And then we've got the decals here. So these are our decals for our aircraft. You can see they even include the canopy glazing, because the aircraft are moulded in solid colour, solid grey plastic, not clear. But you can see they're all for the aircraft, so they are very nice indeed. And then here we've got some stickers. These are actually stickers, I believe, not decals. Are they die cut? We have to look at the instructions to see exactly what these are, but you can see that's the linoleum patches that go alongside the catapults, and they've got all these bits and pieces here that are going to go on the ship. So you can see that's what you're getting in the Tamiya kit, and then with the trumpeter kit you get this. So there's all your aircraft there. You've got some flags, some banners there for hanging off the ship. We've got flags here in both the static and blowing around form. And then we've got the markings for the front of the Yamato, and then we've got all our markings there. You can see them in white just about. But okay, the monochrome I believe has paper flags, which is a nice touch rather than this. This one you only have the paper flags and no decals, so you know they kind of count each other out there. But I'm going to give them both, I don't know, 9 out of 10 for the decals, because they're both really, really good. But you don't get flag decals in here, and you don't get the paper decals in there. So whichever your preference, you're not going to be happy. So there we go. But all very nicely done. Just as a side note, guys, if you've got the Border Models 1/32 scale Lancaster and you've got the Tamiya 1/350th Yamato, then the bag that the large screws come in the Lancaster are perfect for all of this. So you can wrap it all up together and keep it all nice and tidy. There you go. So looking at the hull, I've got both hulls next to me, and one is quite a lot bigger than the other. In fact, it's nearly twice as big as it would be. You can see here, still in the plastic and everything, you have the hull for the 200 scale kit, and you can see by the size of my hand how big this thing is. It's absolutely huge, and I can go right across under the camera, and then there's the stern there, and you can see the biggest difference here in your normal 200 scale kits. They've made the hull in 2 pieces and put in these plastic bulkheads and also these aluminium stiffeners. This is probably as a result of all the horrible complaints they had about the crap Titanic with its bloody paper thin hull, and it all just warped everywhere, and a lot of people just couldn't even get it to go together. But this is another story. The other reason I like this hull is because they've actually, in the past, they've always made their hulls in one piece, and as a result they've had shape issues because they've tried to get the bow correct. They did it on the Missouri, they changed it and made the front section in 2 separate pieces to get a nice bow shape. But if you look at the likes of the Arizona and the Bismarck, they're a bit fat and they need to be slimmed down to make them look right. I'm not talking about rivet count, and I'm talking about making them look right. But this thing, to me, it just looks spot on. It looks really good. It really is nice. Again, you've got all the plating on here. Maybe it's a touch heavy, but I don't think it's going to look bad under a coat of paint at all. The only thing that does concern me, a couple of things. The plated over scuttles, portholes, what we would call them, are smaller than the actual ones that are, you can see here. You can see we've got a plated over scuttle there by my thumb. It's actually smaller than the ones next to it, so I don't see how that can be. But anyway, whatever. That's minor. The other concern is, which I don't like on this, we have moulded on degaussing cable, which is not good, and I have a feeling it should be double. You see on here they've got it. Oh, it looks like this one may be double, but you know, it's moulded on. I wish it had been photo etch. Saying that, what they did with the Enterprise, just giving you a roll of wire to glue on, I don't think it was very good at all. But you know, with this, I think it's as good as we're going to get. It is a beautiful, beautiful moulding. If you saw Pete's review over at Oscar Modelling, he had sink marks all down his hull. I don't appear to have that, so I'm lucky. Obviously, it's going to be luck of the draw, same as it was with the Titanic. Some got a nice hull, some got a really, really bad one. So there we are. But overall, really, really nice. You can see underneath we have no grill detail for the water intake and exhausts. It's just all we've got under here is plating, but that's a great step forward because this is the first ship they've actually given us plating all the way underneath, I think. So very nice indeed. But yeah, really, really pleased. It's lovely. It's a two-piece hull. It will go together beautifully. If you want to do a waterline display, you best get your saws out. So yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's about 1.3 meters long, I believe. Right, so the Tamiya is a little bit different. Obviously it's smaller, but we've got a stack of plastic. You can see we've got these sort of mid-deck stiffening plates. They're going to get screwed in halfway down the deck. We've got our upper and lower bow section. We've got our stern hanger section there, and the stern upper deck there. Okay. We've got the actual main sides of the hull here. Okay, so that's the sort of rear half of the hull, and in typical Tamiya style, look at the plastic moulding. It's made like a bridge, so it's all supported and can't get flattened out in transit. But we can see on here we have lots and lots of lovely detail. We also have, by the look of it, moulded on degaussing cable. But and we can also see here that the actual welded over portholes are smaller than the actual ones next to them. You can see it there in the light. There you go. So maybe that is correct. I don't know where they got the drawings from, if any drawings actually do exist, or if it's all just photographs. But yeah, it's I mean, it's a beautiful piece of moulding. It's really, really nice. No sink marks or anything in it. So yeah, lovely. But it's a shame, in a way, it's a shame it's made in so many pieces. Here you can see we have the main lower hull. Okay, so we've got all our plating on here, which is lovely. We've got our options of holes to drill through for the stand. I'm assuming that's what they are. No, they're not. They're injection points where the plastic's been injected. But you've got down here, you've got all the engine cooling intakes and exhausts, which are completely missing from the other kit. I'm just going to double check because I wasn't looking at the stern area. Yeah, they are. Hang on. Nope, they are moulded in. They are moulded in very, very faintly. I don't know if you can see that. You can see them there, look. There, you can see them there. They are moulded in. So I take back what I said, they are there. So I take back what I said, Trumpeter. I actually wonder, I'm not trying to accuse anyone of anything, but I do wonder if Trumpeter bought one of these and made it, you know what I mean? But you can see on here, the plating is very refined. Come on, camera, focus. You can see the plating is very refined. It's very finely done. And then you've got those recesses to put all the etch grills in, which is a really nice touch. Some people say, what's the point? Well, it's nice, isn't it? It's there. A lot of kits don't have it, so a lot of kits have nothing. The other thing that's nice on here, same as the Trumpeter kit, the actual keels here are moulded to scale. They're not just plastic wedges. You can see here one of the troubles with that, where it's been knocking around in the box, it's got a little bit of damage on it there. which will just need a bit of straightening out, a bit of sanding. That'll be fine. But that is the problem. You see, with trumpeter you don't get that. Parts don't get damaged generally. And you can also see what we have is I haven't opened this one for some reason. You can see we have a two-piece hull. So you can see there that when we put the bow and the stern together, we have this seam all the way around here to deal with, which seems I kind of don't know why they did it. Maybe it was so they could get tooling in that way to get the shape of the bow correct. I really don't know, but yeah, I really don't know. This is 2011 is the date. There we go. But this is a million miles better than the older kit. I can assure you of that. So that's the thing, you see, and you've got the stern deck there going in. You've got this main, but you can see you've got that. You've got the bow. Then you've got the plates going in, and then you've got the other parts, these main whole sections here going in, and you've got the bow section going in, and then the decks are going to go on top of there. And if you're going to do a waterline series, then you'll just use that and that without that. Okay, so yeah, 10 out of 10 for having the options to do a waterline build, but 8 out of 10 for having the option to have a million pieces to put your hull together. And I really don't know why they put that joint in there. I mean, surely they could have had a sliding tool that slid on the inside. They could have had a block that went in, block that came out. You know, I don't know why they did that, but hey. The other thing that's nice, they've got this this deadwood, they call it here, separate, so that means they can get the moulding right on that, the nice slender shape and everything. But you're going to have some seam work to do around there. So, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But as far as the holes go, I'm going to give them both 9 out of 10 because they're both bloody awesome. Tamiya would be 10 out of 10 if they hadn't made this separate front piece, and the trumpeter would be 10 out of 10 if they hadn't put the degaussing cable on the side of the hull, even though this one I think has got it. Yes, it has. Ooh. I'll have to think about my marks. Maybe 8.5 for the Tamiya and 9 for the trumpeter. But I don't know. But yeah, the trumpeter, you don't get photo etched grills for the bottom of the hull, but it is all just one piece. You haven't got any massive seam lines to deal with. So maybe 9 and 8.5. I don't know. We shall see. Right, moving on to the decks. Here's our bow from the trumpeter Glow2b kit. And as you can see, we've got the moulded on tread plate detail and everything here. We've got the chain plates and everything there. Hose pipes have to be connected to the hull, but that's pretty standard for any ship. When we look at the Tamiya, you can see in here, very similar affair. The actual detail on the Tamiya looks to be, if anything, slightly softer. But it is, I mean, it's an 11-year-old kit now, whereas this is brand new. So, you know, plastics technology and moulding technology has come a long way. But you can see all the detail is there. Look at the size of the bloody thing. But yeah, I mean, if anything, the detail around the hose pipes looks more involved on the Tamiya. I'm not sure if it's correct or if this is correct. We've also got a bit of a funny mould on the top of that bollard there. I'm not sure if there's something that goes on the top of it. And the detail here looks a lot more sort of correct, if you like, with the angled sides and everything, rather than just these nearly vertical slopes. But all in all, I would say they're both, you know, pretty similar. I mean, this one has got all the plating detail on, this one hasn't. Well, it has, but it's very, very faint. Yeah, they're both equal, I would say. I would say the moulding on here is slightly softer than here, but I would say the actual shapes of everything just look more correct. Just, you know, we have no reference to say what's right and what's wrong, but it just looks, to me, the Tamiya, you know, if you look at where the capstans go, it just looks more accurate than the trumpeter one. But, you know, who knows? So that, you know, we're talking nothing, and if you want to correct it, it's going to be a sanded stick, 10 minutes, done, job done. So that's that one. That's our bow. And then going to the stern, we can put this one away, I believe. So we'll put this one away. I've got to be, if I do this as you want me to do it, I know just have everything there. I'll have a bloody pile of plastic next to me, bigger than my house. So I'm having to do this one by one, guys, so I don't get all mixed up and confused and everything. So put that one over there. So when we're looking at the actual stern upper deck, I don't know why these bags are all sealed. I've done a full review of this kit. I don't know how I've managed that. Still, maybe I stapled them back up. So here is this is the stern upper deck for the 200 scale kit, and this is the stern upper deck for the 350th. And straight away you'll notice that all these tracks on here are missing on this one, and that is because in here they're all made of PE. So 10 out of 10 for that trumpeter. The tread plate on there is absolutely gorgeous, as it is on there. They've got tread plate going all under here. They haven't on here, so I'm not sure which one's correct. I will have to look at my references. They don't have any tread plate on here at all, whereas all of this is covered in tread plate, checker plate, whatever you want to call it. So I'll have to check my references to see which is correct, because if that isn't correct, then obviously the aftermarket are going to jump all over this and give us a complete photo etch sheet with all the checker plate on it. We've got the lines in there. This one doesn't have the plating. You can see we've got all this square plating detail on here. Yeah, this one doesn't have that, but it does have all that checker plate around there. So I'll have to check which is correct and which is wrong. And then when we've got the stern lower deck here, you can see we've got all the checker plate on the back there. I haven't got this piece out of the box, I'm afraid, so yes I have. Yes I have, it's over here. And there it is there. I've actually taped this shut because it was, didn't want it all to get damaged, but there we go. We can see there's our stern deck there. Again, on this one, on the Tamiya, we have the moulded in rails for the lifeboats, or ship's boats should I say. On this one they're separate photo etch, so yeah, 10 out of 10 for that. We have the bases there for those not capstans, whatever they're called, bollards, I can't remember what they're called now. And we have that lovely checker plate on there. But basically you can see here this hanger deck stops there. This one just carries on, and as I say, I think they've done it for rigidity. It would take you 10 minutes to put a piece of plastic card across there. So, you know, and if you have these doors open and you get your head right down, you may be able to see up there. So the person that commented, I think it was Gary, was correct in what he's saying, but the fix is so easy, I'm not going to mark him down for that. And I think it's going to add a lot of rigidity to that upper deck. You can see how strong this is. We also have on here, now that's a bit strange, we'll have to have a closer look at the kits, but we can see here, if we put these next to each other, you can see here this comes along the side, and then it has quite an area here, and this one doesn't have it. You can see this deck sticks out here, and this one doesn't have that. It doesn't have that wall there. So again, either I'm not looking at it properly, I'm not looking at it properly, or one of these kits is wrong, because this one has that wall going straight along there, and this one has that wall coming out and then going back in pretty much parallel with that rail, so that would be cut right back here. So that's something else to look into. It may not matter because you can't see in there or something, I don't know, but Tamiya have certainly done that with that wall, and Trumpeter haven't. I'll just have a quick look at the instructions to see if they put something in there. Hang on. Okay, from my initial observation, it would appear that this area in here doesn't matter because you can't see it, because the outer hull sort of runs along the side here, so the outer hull is going to run along here, so you're not going to see in there anyway. And then what Trumpeter do, they give you this wall here. This wall there is actually a separate piece that goes inside. So when you actually look into your hanger deck, when you look where the lifeboats, so the ship's boats are, it's going to look exactly the same on both kits because there's a separate wall inside. It's just that they've done this and they've carried the plating right over to the edge, which fooled me anyway. So all good in that department. But yeah, really nice, very crisp, clean moulding. As I say, If anything, I think this is a little touch crisper than the Tamiya, but the Tamiya is still very, very nice, as you can see there. Very, very nice indeed. And this one is also likewise very nice indeed. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for both of them, I think. So looking at the main decks, we can see on here obviously the massive size difference you're going to get. But this one is one piece all the way out. The Tamiya one has separate side pieces that go in here, okay, obviously to cover these screws. Now if you're using a wooden deck, that's going to be absolutely fine, but I think if you're not using a wooden deck, it's another seam line to take care of, and it's going to be quite difficult to hide it in amongst all the deck planking. So not really, unless it's a perfect fit like their Spitfire tail is, then it's not going to be fantastic. But as I say, if you're using a wooden deck, it doesn't matter. Having said that, I do believe, yeah, they've even made the, I've got the wooden deck here. That's okay, it is, the wooden deck will cover the joint, so that's okay. Whereas on this one we just have one piece, there is no silly joint or anything, although we have got a mould seam there which is going to need sanding out, but it is very, very faint, so that's okay. Obviously detail around here is pretty much all the same. The detail around the bow, you know, we got the breakwater and everything is all the same. Something I did notice on the Tamiya which I didn't like, if you look at it, if you're painting your decks, if you look at it in here in the light, you can see all over that bow, you can see all the ejector pin marks on the back are coming through on this face as bulges all the way down the deck. Okay, you can see them everywhere, all the way down here. You can see them. It could be their way of making you buy their wooden deck, I don't know, but if you catch it in the light, you can see they're everywhere. It's awful. And there's sinking there by the look of it. So that is awful. That is probably the worst Tamiya moulding I've ever seen. But if you're using a wooden deck, it doesn't matter an iota. But if you want to paint your decks, you know, and then you're going to wash them and stuff, I think your washers are going to pick up in it, because it's, I mean, I can certainly feel it. So not the best. In fact, here you can see they're quite sharp there. It's quite a sharp raised area. So this one is lovely. No such thing, no such ejector pin marks. The one thing I will say about this, and it's the same with Tamiya and it's the same with every bloody ship, they do this with the deck. I don't know if I can catch this in the light and show you. They do it with the deck planking. They have every single plank exactly the same length. So you've got lines going across of where all the deck planks are the same. I think you'll see it on here easier because the plastic's darker. But you can see across here, where I put my finger now, here, you can see there's all a load of, the end of the planks are all the same, in the same spot. Like every plank is the same length and they're all staggered. It's I don't think it's accurate. So there we go. But I mean, they've done a really nice job with this. It's really thick. The other thing I like about this, especially from every other ship model I've seen, something I don't like with wooden decks is you always get a edge. You've always got the wooden, normally the edge of your deck is flat, so you add the wooden deck and then you've got a raised edge of wood, whereas with this one it has a lip. It has a lip around there, so the deck is actually going to go under it. It looks like this one may actually have the same. Yes, so it's probably part of Yamato, Yamato. It's probably the same on everything, but you know, this is very, very nice indeed. But one big downside, you can see on here, we've got the actual mounts, the rings for the turrets to sit on are separate mouldings, whereas on here they've made them as one piece. It's all part of the deck, and there's a load of detail missing. There should be plates all around here that go around there, and there should be all sorts of bits and pieces of detail going around there. You can see them all in the back of the instructions for the Tamiya kit. You can see it all in there, and the same on here. So they're missing all of that on here completely. So I'm guessing the aftermarket's going to jump on this. I started this I started this review thinking to myself, you could build a beautiful kit out of the box with this, that has changed my mind, because I think that is a part that's really going to catch people's eye, because the turrets are at a focal point and it's going to look so much better on there. And just looking in the instructions, in fact we can see on here they've got all the detail on there drawn in the painting, all the detail around there, it's all on there, but on here there's nothing. So that's a bit of a disappointment, unless it's missing in the instructions and the parts are in the kit. That's not unheard of. Yeah, they've got it on here as well. They've got the little bits on there and bits and pieces on here. Oh no, there isn't, sorry, that's a davit. So yeah, a bit of a downside to that one, but you know, hey ho. But so they're both going to get, this would get 10 out of 10, but those ejector pin marks and having the seam along here, 8 out of 10. This deserves a 10 out of 10, but with all that detail missing there, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. So they're both getting 8 out of 10. Right, so looking at the main superstructure, this is obviously the Tamiya one, and it's a lot shorter than the, a lot smaller obviously than that one. I keep saying that, it's so obvious, isn't it? But basically you can see the detail on the side here is they are both very, very similar. The actual, there are a couple of differences I've noticed. Obviously the shape of this grille is different, so I'm not sure which one's correct. This grille here appears to be sort of more stretched out than this one is. Everything else is pretty much the same, okay, going around. But we do have some ladder detail on here, which is very nice, and on here it's very, very soft. We have the door detail on there, which we don't have there. Here we have the door with the, I'm guessing, remember I was saying about the upside down portholes, upside down doors because of the portholes? Well, these have it as well. So it's probably some kind of, actually no they don't, I thought they did, but they don't. They have two ridges there instead. So I don't know what they are, but we'll have to look into that. It's nothing to fill them or whatever. But here you can see on these doors at the bow, they have it. On the Tamiya they have these holes at the bottom. I can only assume they're vents. You can see here. And somebody commented, you know, what is it, are the doors upside down? I commented in the review I did, it looks like the bloody doors are upside down. But we can see on the front here, these vents are a completely different shape here. And you can also see, when you look here in plan view, you can see the shape here of the, is this the fire control area here? You can see that is sort of a pretty near a constant radius around there, whereas this one's sort of radius and then flat and then radius. And when I look at, you can't go looking at these CAD images in these books. I mean, the CAD images in these books are bloody lovely, but at the end of the day, a CAD image is as good as the guy that's, you can see, like, there it is there, okay? That's as good as the guy who did the CAD interpreted the picture he was looking at, okay? So you can't look at that, but here we have a photograph, and in the photograph we can see the fire control area there. Alright, where are we? There. And it does look like it's straighter along the side before it's curved, so it looks like perhaps the shape of this one is more correct than this one, but you know, we're rivet counting now, but it does look like the shape of this one is better than this one. It's probably somewhere between the two. Looking at these grills, just looking there, I can't see the grills in there, but yeah, I mean they're both very nicely moulded parts. It does kind of look as though Trumpeter did build one of these before they designed this, doesn't it? But they are very, very nice indeed. You see now, Tamiya has that door there, but not there. This Trumpeter has a door there. Now it could be that Tamiya were going to make Musashi as well. Maybe Musashi doesn't have a door there, so it's a separate piece. There is a hole there. Maybe it's just a porthole. I don't know. I don't know what's right and what's wrong. And if you just want to build a model of Yamato that looks like Yamato, then both kits are perfect. Absolutely perfect. When we start comparing bits and pieces like this, you know, with something there's that little reference for, it's very, very difficult to prove which is right and which is wrong. But they're both very nice mouldings. Okay, well, quick look at the turrets. As you can see, Tamiya one is obviously the smaller one. The detail on the roof of the turrets is very, very nice on both of them. We have the positions marked out on here for the stanchions for the grab rails. This turret has a separate front piece here with the moulded on detail, and that is very similar to the design of the Tacom turret. So this actually goes through from behind. You've got that ring around there, the flange that holds down the blast bag, whereas on this one it's just moulded on in one. Obviously with this one you're getting all the internal details, so that's what all this is. This is the stack that builds up the tower, and here's all your ammunition chutes there. You've got the breeches on there, so you've got some interior detail. Not that you're ever going to see it, but it's there. And on this one you don't get any of that. All you get is these three rough looking breeches, which are just basically pivot points, and then you've got your plastic moulded barrels. Here you have your plastic moulded barrels. The ends on these, you have the end caps on, whereas with these the ends are actually moulded, they're slide moulded. We have quite a seam line down there, so that needs quite a clean up, but I would imagine they probably knew when they made these that everyone's going to replace them anyway. But basically we've got the correct little tabs on there that the little platforms go on for making the guns accurate. But as far as moulding goes, you can see the actual turret itself is very, very nice indeed. Something I have noticed with these wings that cover the rangefinders, the back of them is radiused from inside profile, and on that Tacom kit I've got, they're squared off. So I think the Tacom kit is wrong, because every picture I've seen they have radius back end on them. You can see here are the wings here, and they're in two halves, and the back end is radiused off. That's, you can see it there, that's radiused off at the back, and that's correct. So a bit of work needed on that Tacom kit there if you want it to be accurate. But yeah, very, very nice indeed. You can see this one's got the separate door in the back, this one has it moulded in. I also think if the Tacom kit is correct, this pipe here that's coming around the top is incorrect. I think that should go in the side, but we shall see. This one doesn't appear to have it at all. Maybe it's a optional extra you can add with photo etch, but and you can see in there we have some rangefinder detail inside there, whereas on this one it's funny actually, because on this one you have the rangefinder thing there floating around, so it's a bit weird. And on this one you don't have any of that detail at all, you just get the wings on the side. So yeah, all in all I think the Tamiya kit is a lot nicer than this one. Having those front pieces separate, you know, it's a bit more work, but you're going to get a more separate look if you want it. The other thing that's really weird with this one, I've got the manual here. I made a mistake here as well. I said they tell you to make one turret. They actually tell you to make 3 turrets, or tell you to make 2 with the holes, make 1 without. That's what they don't tell you. So the holes in the top are for the anti-aircraft ammunition, which the number 1 turret doesn't have. But here you've got the photo etch ladder going in, you've got the photo etch brackets that catch the blast bags, and then here you have the option of fitting the blast bags or fitting these frames. Now these frames go inside the guns and they actually sit. The blast bags sit on top, it saves the blast bags sagging into the gun, but they would never be exposed unless the blast bags were removed. And why would the blast bags be removed? So this is a bit weird, this. I don't know why they've done that. And the blast bags they supply are pretty boring in shape. I mean, there's the shape of them there. So they could really do with reshaping with some milliput or something. And then you've got the floor mounts on there for the anti-aircraft guns on the top of number 2 and 3. But yeah, very, very nice. But I mean, they've got the shape wrong. That they should have that plate in there. It should be replicated. When you look at the Tamiya ones, you can see on here. Where's the normal guns? You can see on here you've got the plate. You can see where the plate is underneath the blast bag at the top. So with the Tamiya ones you have the option of having the guns up or down, okay, with the blast bags, but here you only have the option of having the guns down. So if you want your guns up with blast bags, you'll have to make your own blast bags. That's a good point actually. If you put them on, you won't be able to lift the guns up anyway. So slowly but surely we're finding some issues with this, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's not going to put me off. So yeah, so I think Tamiya, you get 10 out of 10 for that. I think Trumpeter Glow2b 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. The moulding's lovely, it's beautiful, you've got to admit that's gorgeous. It's really, really nice. And they've got nice little positive location points for your photo etch as well. It looks like we're going to have photo etch grab rails around the edge. Yes we are, they're going to be fun. Yeah, these pieces here, they're going to be fun. So there we are, but yeah, very nice indeed. But you know, I wish they'd had the detail in the base. You can get the Fujimi aftermarket ones if you want, but they're going to break your bank. I'm not sure if they would fit this kit very well, but they are. The Tamiya is out there ahead of this one by far. That was the turrets. Let's have a look at the PE. We can see here that the PE we get in the Tamiya kit is still mounted to this cardboard sort of box thing that goes in the box, and it keeps it all rigid and everything. But we can see here the PE. The first thing we notice is, in typical Tamiya style, it's stainless steel, which is a bit of a pain. It's quite difficult to cut, it's quite difficult to bend, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not as nice as using brass. I don't know why they do it. It's fine for bits like this. In fact, it's great for bits like this that have to remain flat. But when you've got your, you know, pieces that you want to bend, like for example seat belts. I know there's no seat belts in a ship kit, but seat belts in an aircraft, they're a nightmare to get nice with the stainless steel, in my opinion. You know, stuff like this, these wheels on the end of these reels, you can see them there. You know, in stainless steel they're fine, but you know, with stuff like this, when you got to fold it, it's a bit difficult to fold. But then having said that, with stuff like this crane, once you do fold it, it's quite rigid in comparison to brass, but it's just not nice to work with. I haven't looked into it. I'm assuming it could be annealed and softened just by getting it to a certain temperature and then letting it cool down. It would be absolutely fine, but you know, on the whole, it's not easy to remove from the fret. It's not easy to clean the nibs up on. It's not easy to fold. It's just not as nice as brass, which is why every aftermarket manufacturer uses brass. So, but there we go. The other disappointing thing is with this kit, you go out and you spend £200 odd on your model and you don't get any railings. Now, you know, you can go and spend £50–60 on a Trumpeter 1/350th kit and you'll get railings in the photo etch. This has no railings. You have to buy the aftermarket railings for it. Tamiya do a set of stanchions with some wire, which I've got, and I may well go into at the end of this video. But you know, it's just not. I just think they should have put some railings in there. You know, for what it costs them, it's a joke really that they're not in there. So, not really over the moon with this at all, to be honest with you. You know, it's nice that we've got these catwalks and everything, and the bits and pieces and grills and gratings and that. It's great, but really, you know, I mean, I can't imagine trying to fold these steps up. It'd be a nightmare. So yeah, not good. On the other hand, with the Trumpeter Glow2b, whatever you want to call it, you get quite a lot of photo etch. If you've seen my review, you'll see there's 15 sheets. I think there's 4 or 6 that are copies of each other. But you can see, I mean, if I go through them, you can see, and they're all fairly thin. They're all fairly nice. Now, in my experience, I've experienced Trumpeter photo etch that's not very nice to work with. And when I say it's hard, I don't mean it's hard like it needs to be annealed. It's kind of like the difference between, I don't know, a sheet of rubber and a sheet of cardboard. You know, the rubber will kind of flex and stuff. The cardboard just gives it, and it's almost kind of brittle. If you know what I mean, if you experienced, you know what I mean. This stuff seems to be a lot better. I didn't measure the thickness when I did my review, so I shall measure the thickness now. These have all been re-sellotaped after they were opened. Let's have a look how thick this is. So if we peel back, alright, I've peeled back the plastic, and it's actually 0.2 thick, 0.18. It's 0.2 thick, it's 1/8 thou. So it's nice and thin, and it doesn't feel as if it's like that horrible brittle stuff. So it should be quite nice to use. But as you can see, it's all, you know, that grill, that grating there, it's beautifully done. And it's some of the nicest photo etch I've ever seen from Trumpeter. But as you can see, you're getting all the railings for your turrets. You're getting all the detailed railings for everything. You've got all the main railings for the ship, with all the little bits and pieces that go with them. You see more railings there, all the steps and grills and grates and everything. And then we've got bits and pieces here for our turrets. And then you've got the walks there on the deck for the these are the bits that are linoleum, and you've got the crane or the antenna, whatever that is there, and some more railings and some more steps and some anchor chain as well. So all in all, very nicely done, and I would say probably the most comprehensive package of photo etch I've ever seen in a kit. It's very, very nice indeed. So I'm going to give Trumpeter, for their PE, I'm going to give them 10 out of 10 because it's really, really nice. And I'm going to give Tamiya 7. 7 because they've added photo etch in there, which is a nice touch. In fact, I'm going to give them 6 because they've added photo etch in there. It's stainless steel, which is horrible. They haven't given us any ship's railings, and you know, it's for it's over £200 now, this kit. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they wouldn't give any railings. And I can't see any chain, although there must be some chain in another bag. Yeah, horrible to work with. So I would recommend, if you're going to get that kit, perhaps go for an aftermarket detailing set and just don't use that. Or if you want to go out of the box, you know, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine, but you'll have your work cut out trying to work with it. So do your best is all I can say. Do your best with it. Right, just go back to these decks, these aft decks. If you remember, I talked about the fact that the Trumpeter Glow2b kit has this square panelling on there. You can see the panelling on there. It's like a grid section, and it doesn't have any tread plate around here, around these around the rails for the aircraft. And on the Trumpeter kit, sorry, the Tamiya kit, there is no grid section, but they do have like a checker plate around this area here. You can hear Jess now having a go. What are you doing, Jess? What's going on? Hey? What's going on, Jess? They have this sort of checker plate effect around here. I found, as you know, I don't like to use images, CAD images and stuff, which is what this book is full of. This is basically all CAD images with a couple of photographs, because there is no reference material. But there is a photograph here, and this is September 41. Yamato is shown during her final phase of fitting out. We can see here, these are the tracks there that we're looking at, okay, and you can see the end of the track there going into that turntable area, and there is no checker plate. And we can also see, if we look, we've got all these lines, this panelling in there. So there you can see all the panels in there. So it would appear that this is in fact incorrect. I mean, you could say that the panelling is so faint you wouldn't see it in this scale, but it certainly doesn't appear to have this checker plate around this area and all up here and everything. So it looks to me like Trumpeter got this right and Tamiya got it wrong. Okay, so I just want to finish up and talk about the guns. Now, what I'll do is I will use pictures that I used in my original review of the kit, so you can compare the Trumpeter and the Tamiya parts. But for me, the most outstanding part of this kit are the gun barrels. Tamiya have developed a process whereby, you know, when a part is moulded, it gets a mould seam. Okay, so you get a round part, and you can see it on here on the sprue. You have a seam around the edge that you have to sand off. Well, they've developed a process whereby they can laser the actual gun barrels after they're moulded. So basically, when you look at these closely, I'm going to have to try and do it with photographs, but when you look at these closely, there is no seam on the barrels, even down to these tiny little aircraft guns here. Okay, there is no seam on those barrels, nothing. They come in there, and if you look at them through I've got a 10:1 magnifier here, that you can see they've got like a laser etched surface. Now these guns here, I don't know if you'll pick it up, but they haven't been done, and there is a seam on them. I don't know if you're going to see it, but there is a seam on them. But on these, on those there is no seam. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm going to try and find, they're not here either, I'm going to try and find the tiny little standalone single, is it 25mm or 12.7cm guns, or 12.7mm. Let me have a quick look a minute. Here we go, guys. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, these are the little standalone machine guns. I mean, you don't need metal barrels because they're seamless. They're absolutely beautiful. There's going to be a seam on the upright and the mount and everything, but there's no seam on the actual barrel itself. As I said, I don't think you can see it there. What I'll do is I will see if I can get in close enough with the camera to get you some photographs. And the same on these triples here. No seams. You can see all the recoil around the bottom of the barrel. There's no seam there either. Absolutely stunning. So 12 out of 10 for Tamiya for that. Right, so now we've had a good look at the kits and everything. I just want to go over now sort of what's lacking on the Tamiya kit and what's lacking in the trumpeter kit. Obviously we know that there are no railings or anything in the Tamiya kit. As far as detail goes, we don't know because there is no real good resource of what is right and wrong for Yamato. But basically, it's kind of, I mean, the one disappointment I think with the Tamiya kit is the fact that you have to buy railings separately. You can either get Tamiya's own, which I've got here, which are basically individual stanchions, and then you get some copper wire to go between them, which will look absolutely amazing, but whether they drive you absolutely crazy or not, I don't know. There's all the different types of stanchions, and if you remember with the Tamiya kit, they tell you which type of stanchion to use in certain areas. And these are not actually a set for Yamato. This is a set for basically for any of the ships. In fact, they're called out and mention the instructions. So, and you can see, I mean, if I get a rule, where's a rule? Here we go. If I get a rule to give you an idea of size, you can see there how absolutely tiny they are. So they'll drive you crazy, and then you've got two eyelets in each one where you have to feed the 0.1 copper wire through. So yeah, but it's a shame, as I say, there's no railings included in the kit. They do a 1/350th scale degaussing cable set. So you can see you have a series of what's that? They're all twins, aren't they? It's one fret of brass. It's a shame they aren't longer. It's a shame they didn't make a longer, thinner fret, but you can see the degaussing cable there, which is alright, but you know, the moulded on stuff isn't that nice. It never does look very good, which is a big downside for the trumpeter kit. But as I say, there is no aftermarket available for that model at this moment in time, but believe me, it will be flooded with it soon. And then here you've got the detail upset for the these are the 46cm gun barrels and projectiles for the Yamato, and they are really nice, much nicer than the plastic parts. They always will be, but then, you know, do you need to worry about how good these are compared to the plastic parts? I don't know. They're just a lot nicer to have, aren't they? And then on top of that, we've got the wooden decks, which if you want to add a wooden deck, as far as I know, there is no wooden deck available yet for the trumpeter kit. But here you can see they're showing you, they're saying here, before applying sheets, removed all the details as shown by the arrows to prevent sheets from peeling away from the model surface. So there's obviously some raised detail in here that has to be removed, so you remove that basically. But the beauty of these wooden decks over the plastic parts is these separate panels here that go in the sides of the deck. This will actually cover those up, so you don't have that seam to worry about. I think it's kind of engineered to make you buy this, you know, because you've got those seams to deal with, and then you've also got those ejector pin marks in the deck. It's almost like it was made to make you buy this, wasn't it? I don't know, but anyway, so that's that. And then the other thing you're going to want is, if you want to have your hangar doors open, is this Japanese Navy utility boat set. as you don't get all the boats that the ship carried in the kit. So again, it's a bit disappointing in a ship that's that expensive. You know, if this was a trumpeter kit, and I'm not trying to blow any smoke up trumpeter's ass here or anything, but basically they would have all the boats, possibly would have metal main gun barrels, it would possibly have degaussing cables, and it would definitely have handrails. So, you know, for what it costs, you know, is it really worth it? It's a beautiful, beautiful kit, and it's a beautiful piece of moulding. I'm talking about the Tamiya kit, but, you know, I think it's lacking in a couple of areas, but it is beautiful. It's just too expensive, really. So basically, I've done my tally up on what I think the kit's, you know, pros and cons are. So for the packaging, I'm going to give Tamiya 8 and Glow2b 10. You can't give them any less than 10 because they couldn't have done any more in the packaging other than, as I say, wrap the whole box in an iron crate. It's absolutely incredible. It's fantastic packaging, so well done, Trumpeter Glow2b. You've done an amazing job. Just remember, if you get your kit, if you're going to go through it and do a video review like I have or whatever, make sure you remember where everything goes. The other thing I would suggest is, I was saying this to Paul the other day, Plastic Monkey, who is Sue, Ice Queen 7's husband. He's doing the Trumpeter submarine at the moment, and he said it's driving him absolutely crazy trying to find all the sprues, because one of the big problems with these Trumpeter kits, they don't sort of have groups of sprues. Like if you build the Airfix Hellcat, all of the engine parts are on one sprue, all of the left wing parts are on one sprue, all of the right wing parts are on one sprue, all of the undercarriage parts are on one sprue. Whereas with Trumpeter, you know, you'll get like he's doing with this submarine, you'll have the torpedo compartment and you'll have the torpedo tubes on sprue B, the roof of this torpedo area is on sprue C, the floor is on sprue F, you've got fire extinguishers on sprue G, and before you know it, you've got a mountain of sprues. What I would suggest with a Trumpeter kit, when you've got those big boxes that all the parts come in, right on the front of there, what sprues are in that box. So A, E, F, L, R1, R2. Yeah? And then you know when you're looking for sprue A, it's in that box. And the other thing I would suggest is cut the corners away, because they're a nightmare to get the lids on and off. But yeah, the Tamiya kit, I've given it 8 because it's a nice box and you've got the parts all separately in the bottom and everything. But as you heard at the beginning of the video, they will rock around in there, so there is a potential for damage. Instructions, I'm giving Tamiya no less than 10 because, as we know, their instructions are awesome. They are very, very nice indeed, with colour callouts and everything. The Glow2b, I'm giving them 8. It was going to be a 7, but the fact they've got that ring bounder design on there, I think, puts up that extra point. But unfortunately, there's no colour callouts. There's no descriptions of what things are, and also the actual build sequence where you're going bowster and bowster and bowster, and is a bit upsetting. So could have been a 9, but it's only going to be an 8. If it had been a book like Trumpeters, it would have been a 7. The hull, I'm going to give Tamiya 8.5, and I'm going to give Glow2b 9. I would have given Glow2b 10 had they not moulded on, and wrongly moulded on, the degaussing cables. They're not anything like man enough, and they're moulded on and awful. I think they should have put them in photo etch and left the hole bare. And I'm giving Tamiya 8.5. Again, I can't give them 9 because they've got the same issue as Trumpeter with the moulded on degaussing cable, but at least they do an aftermarket one, which is in tiny short lengths, as you can see. But also the fact it's multi-part design and the seams you have to clean up and everything. But you know, and I've also given them the extra half because they got those photo etch mesh grills in the base and everything, so it would have been an 8.5 because of the photo etch. Parts, I'm going to give both kits a 9. There's pros and cons in both of them. At the end of this video, I'll do a parts comparison, so I'll have photographs of the Glow2b followed by photographs of the Tamiya. If you're confused as to which is which, the Glow2b are from my review, so they're all done on like a turquoise towel. The Tamiya parts all have this grey backing, and also the Tamiya plastic is darker than the Glow2b. So I'm going to give them both a 9 on the parts because, you know, we don't know about accuracy. Nobody really does. And they've both got their pros and cons. We know now that that tread plate on the deck at the stern shouldn't be there. But, you know, yeah. The decals, I'm going to give both of them 8 because one of them doesn't have decals in paper, and one of them doesn't have decals as the flags, sorry, in paper, and one of them doesn't have flags as decals. So I give them both an 8 on that. The PE, I'm giving Glow2b a 10. A 10 for effort because they've made a really good job. It's nice thin photo etch. It feels like it's nice brass to work with. We won't know until we actually try to bend it, but it feels good. I'm giving Tamiya a 6. 1, because they've used that horrible stainless steel, which they keep doing, and it's horrible to work with. And 2, because they haven't given you any railings. And I think in a kit that's over £200 these days, you should at least get railings, which I think is very poor on their point. The decks, I was giving them both 8. But since we found out about the issue with the inaccuracy of the stern deck, I'm giving Tamiya a 7 and I'm giving Glow2b 9. Because Tamiya have got those ejector pin mark problems in the main deck. You've got the seams down the side you have to deal with, I just talked about, where those panels go down the side simply to cover some screws. They could have put the screws underneath the guns and then you wouldn't have the split decks. So yeah, a bit of a shame there. I'm going to give Glow2b a 9. It would be a 10. But, you know, because of that bloody decking with all the planks the same length and everything, and we also have a seam line to deal with in the middle of the main deck. So I'm only giving them a 9 for that. So basically, guys, there we go. That's been the comparison review. If you would like to see more, or you have any questions about aspects of both kits, you know, feel free to ask in the comments below. If one person asks for a full video review of such and such, I'm not going to do it, but if a few of you do, then I will. So I hope you've enjoyed that. As I say, I've got some pictures for you now. Take a good look at those gun barrels. Hopefully you can see in there the laser work they've done, where they've removed the seams. And you'll see on certainly one of the gun barrels, you'll see there's like a pip on the nose of the gun on the front of the barrel. You see where they've left the pip behind where it's been lasered off. So you just got to sand the end of that and perhaps drill it out, I don't know. But anyway, have a good look at the pictures, nice little bit of music, and enjoy. So I hope you've enjoyed that. As I say, any questions or anything, please put them in the comments down below. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.